Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening. It's 6 p.m. in the UK on the 24th of June. And welcome, if you're joining us live, to this, the 146th Annual General Meeting of the Chartered Banker Institute. I confirm that a quorum is present and our annual general meeting may proceed via this Zoom platform again this year. I do genuinely hope that next year we will once again be able to meet in person. This is my last engagement as your elected president, and in a short while you will hear from my successor, but not before you've heard one last time from me. In a change to how we've run our AGMs previously, and to ensure that our large virtual meeting runs as smoothly as possible, I will chair the whole of the AGM and hand over to my successor at the end of the meeting. For those of you who are old hands at this, previously the president would demit office and swap seats in the room after his or her election, but we've got used to doing things differently over the course of the last 18 months or so. So now let me turn to our agenda. The minutes of the 145th Annual General Meeting of last year. I propose that the minutes of last year's 145th Annual General Meeting, as printed in the summer 2020 edition of the Chartered Banker, the Institute's magazine, be taken as read and entered into the minute book. I now turn to some observations and comments as I prepare to demit office. So fellows, members, colleagues and friends of our institute, this is the 146th Annual General Meeting of the Chartered Banker Institute, demonstrating the long constancy of our purpose. When you installed me as president 2 years ago, it was truly an honor. On that day, I talked about serving to lead, a military concept. I urged that our objectives should cover 3 areas. And what is somewhat remarkable, given the pandemic situation, the Institute's leadership team and staff did not lose sight of those 3 objectives. Firstly, and it must always be first on our list, I asked that we advance our Royal Charter mission. We hold a Royal Charter for a reason, and it ensures the direction of travel continues to be to educate and promote professionalism in our profession. In response, the achievements of our institute in the past year in this new digital online remote learning environment speak for themselves, with highlights including over 7,000 online examinations delivered, over 93 online events provided for members, and more than 500 hours of continuous professional development material and content available to more than 30,000 members around the globe. That's you, the professional bankers. Secondly, I asked to build on the international influence and collaboration we have in important areas like Australia, Malaysia, Taiwan, India, Pakistan, and Singapore. And if you're joining us from there or in catch up, you're very welcome. And I asked for that to be a continued focus. This certainly has been, and we should be extremely proud to have been able to assist our partner institutes through such difficult and challenging circumstances in the last 16 or so months, while supporting our members in over 100 countries across 6 continents. And as the oldest banking institute in the world, we have firm foundations. And thirdly, 2 years ago, I asked that we stand full square behind the development of green finance initiatives, given the importance of sustainable finance, underscored by the United Nations and the then Governor of the Bank of England, Mark Carney, amongst other central bankers. And again, we should be proud of progress we've made in this area. As the COP26 conference arrives in Glasgow, Scotland later this year, stewardship is the word our founders would have used almost 150 years ago. Today, we might say responsible and sustainable. Through the increased popularity of our Green and Sustainable Finance Certificate and our Chief Executive, Simon Thompson, leading the Green Finance Education Charter on behalf of 12 of the UK's largest financial services professional bodies, we are clearly playing our part to mainstream green and sustainable finance across the world. And whilst on the subject of green and sustainable finance, we very sadly lost a giant of that domain very recently. And for all of us, I would like to pay tribute on behalf of the Institute to the late Sir Roger Gifford, who passed away at the end of May. Now, Sir Roger was a very proud and active honorary fellow of the Institute, a proud Scot. He was a former Lord Mayor of the City of London, a leading advocate of green finance in the UK and globally. He established and chaired the Green Finance Institute and involved in many other initiatives, and a strong supporter of professional education and training and of our Chartered Banker Institute. So Roger is the reason the Young Banker of the Year Grand Final moved to be hosted in the Lord Mayor's official residence, the Mansion House in London. And amongst many other things, he did purposefully and without fanfare, because that was Roger's way. So Roger's substantial and significant contribution to banking, business, the environment, and public life will be remembered warmly by many individuals and organisations he encouraged and supported, including all members of our Chartered Banker Institute. Roger and I spoke of music, particularly choral and opera, and I know many shared those interests. He was a man of parts, and many will feel a sense of loss too. So to Lady Gifford and Sir Roger's family, we send our sincerest condolences. On all three of those earlier objectives I mentioned, and on reflection of my time in office, I believe we have advanced the case through the diligent hard work of the Institute team and our members around the globe. Looking back 2 years, I also cautioned us all on the concerns in the global economy, and I did warn of trouble ahead. From my 2019 speech, and I quote, "What we should be ready for is another setback, a recession, a shock from an area we haven't really thought of, and that it will surprise us." So some 24 months later, we could not have imagined what the world has faced in the last 18 months or so. The sad toll of lost souls, the depth of heartache, and the impact on health, well-being, and on many around us. The underlying economic impact has created some of the most damaging impacts on national economies in decades, if not centuries. We and subsequent generations will live with the collateral damage way into the future. Now, life tends to be what happens around the plans you make. And the great Scottish poet, Robert Burns, said, "The best laid schemes of mice and men gang after gley," or in modern terms, even the best plans can go pear-shaped or wrong. Yet, in spite of those significant challenges, in those 104 weeks of my tenure, I could not have enjoyed serving you more. Your encouragement, enthusiasm, examples of excellence and innovation will stay with me for a long time to come. You see, leaders are there to serve from the very moment they are elected, and there is no luxury in choosing what might unfold in front of you during the time of your service. You can only play the game that's in front of you, and there's no point bemoaning the one that isn't. For example, I was disappointed that I didn't travel to meet you at some of the excellent events and celebrations of examination successes. I particularly missed hearing your views in local settings and accepting the kind invitations to speak in Singapore and Taiwan, Australia, the United States. Yet, with the benefits of technology as we're using today, I've spoken with and met more members around the world than any past president of our institute. In these 730 days, I have learned a great deal from you of selflessness, of resilience, of professionalism, of humility and kindness, the resilience of those working from home or in a really tough environment, the kindness I hear of between members in all parts of the world, the selflessness of doing great things in your communities, way beyond the call of duty and such demonstrable humanity. These are the stories you all have, and the essence of true serving to lead in your organizations, your families, your communities, and your social groups. Even in the face of a world-altering event, the strength of human spirit shines, and our members are in the thick of it, serving to lead. To our Institute leadership team and professional staff, we owe a particular debt of thanks. Faced with this global pandemic, the strategy towards a digital institute was already well in train. As a group of individuals, they rallied around the common purpose. They redefined the way they worked, the way they interacted with our members, their organization, and the way they dealt with each other. And I cannot stress enough just how dedicated and committed the Institute team is. They recognized the challenge early, defined how it could be tackled, and went about their business. No fanfare, no fuss, just doing what was best for our Institute and, in essence, for us. That is serving to lead. To my fellow board members, past and present, thank you for all you have done to get behind the objectives of our Institute. You lead by example, by giving your time, your expertise freely, and our collective membership benefits greatly. Our Institute is richer for that. And each of you should know that you are aiding our mission of driving standards and values within our profession. You are part of a long line who have served faithfully, and that will continue long into our Institute's future. It is often said it is better to travel than to arrive. And it is with mixed feelings that I arrive at the end of this particular part of my own journey within our Institute over a period of 35 years. 10 years ago, in the aftermath of the great financial crisis, I was invited to join council and saw it as a clear responsibility to assist many other like-minded banking professionals in bringing back our reputation as a profession, whilst also giving back personally for the many benefits and advantages I had received by being a professional banker and joining the Institute all those years ago. So in that regard, I'm proud of what we have all achieved in rebuilding reputation and confidence. The underscoring of professionally qualified bankers held to our code of conduct, and it's a never-ending aspiration, and the journey continues. We also have a clear understanding of the very essence of the responsibility we hold in our communities. It is a responsibility requiring us to play our part beyond the commercial. I believe most of us know that. And the yoke of responsibility lies with us all to live by that professional code of conduct we have all declared. And to that end, I am clear that the small part of our Institute's long journey that I have now been party to, as our 150th anniversary arrives in 2025, I've given my best, and I could do no more than that. I didn't leave anything undone or unsaid, save this thing. Be warned, there is no room for complacency at all, as our true moment of truth is arriving now. And our profession will rightly be judged on its approach to and treatment of clients and customers as we assist the build back after this global pandemic calamity, and how we further react to climate impacts. This is our generational chance to demonstrate that we learned from the mistakes of last time. And our redemption as a profession can be secured by simply doing the right things for the longer term good, doing the right things on a bad day, even when no one is looking. Stewardship is the words our founders would have used almost 150 years ago. Today, we might say responsible and sustainable. For me, relationship has always trumped transactional. So we must aspire to be good stewards of our client relationships and the trust they grant us. Without trust, the relationship is broken. This is mission critical imperative, if you will. And if I say so, it's make or break time. We can't mess this part up, or we've simply run a long race to fail just meters from the finish line. So as I pass the baton in the race, I urge you, I implore you to keep going. Give it everything you've got. Finish the race in style with both purpose and humility. Now, before I formally step down as chair and president, it is very appropriate that we recognise the very substantial contribution to the Institute and board made by a member of the existing board stepping down today. I refer to Robin Bullock, who is a fellow of the Chartered Banker Institute. Robin, on behalf of the fellows and members of our institute, and personally from me, thank you for your wise counsel and considerable input over many years. I would also like to take the occasion to thank Paul Riseborough, who stepped down as a trustee at the end of 2020. Thank you, Paul, and if you're watching this live or on catch-up, all the very best to you too. And in due course, I do hope that we are able to meet and mark your contributions more formally. I am, however, delighted to advise that 3 new trustees are nominated to join the board forthwith, and we will hear from them a little later. To my nominated successor, Steve Pateman. Steve, I wish you the very best of fortune as you serve to lead for the next 2 years. And to all of you, outgoing and incoming trustees, thank you. Ours is an institute for bankers, the Chartered Banker Institute, not an institute of banks. So it falls to each and every single one of us to uphold our professional standards. Remember, this is your institute. It's our institute. And I wish every one of you the very best of success in your endeavours. Be assured I'll be watching and cheering you all on, because today my part of the race is run. It has been a pleasure and a great honour to serve to lead the Chartered Banker Institute. Your institute, my institute, collectively it belongs to all of us. And long may our institute prosper through the efforts of you all. I will now turn to the formal part of our meeting, and these are the resolutions to be put to members this evening, and they appear in the notice of meeting, which was published in accordance with our charter and rules. Relating to the submission of the annual report for the year 2020-21. We will now consider that annual report. The full annual report, together with our annual accounts, is available to members on the Institute website. I do want to draw your attention to one amendment to the annual report. The following sentence on page 20 of the report, and I quote, "During 2020, the Audit and Risk Committee undertook a full review of the Institute's approach to risk governance and management, resulting in the adoption of a new risk framework by the Board of Trustees in March 2021. This has been changed to read as follows, quote, "During 2020, the Audit and Risk Committee undertook a full review of the Institute's approach to risk governance and management, resulting in the development of a new risk framework by the Audit and Risk Committee." And here is the important part. It is anticipated that this will be adopted in the coming year following consideration by the Board of Trustees. It's merely a procedural change and phasing. So the annual report has been considered by the Audit and Risk Committee and our Board of Trustees, and is recommended by the board for adoption. If you have any questions on the report, please put them now using the Zoom chat facility. I will pause for a moment. There being no questions, I now propose the adoption of the annual report, including the amendments I mentioned in sentence on page 20, and would ask those in favour to indicate their approval by voting accordingly using the Zoom voting facility. I will pause for around a minute to allow those votes to be cast. Thank you. If I could ask you to hurry along. Thank you very much. I confirm that the annual report for 2020-21 is adopted. Thank you. I have one question I can see on the screen. Is someone asking where they can get the annual reports? It's available through the Chartered Banker Institute website also. Let me now turn to the submission of the accounts for the year to 28th February 2021 and the auditor's report. The screen will change momentarily. There we are. We will now consider the accounts for the year to 28th February 2021 and our auditor's report from Shane and Tate. As I mentioned a moment ago, the accounts are available to members via the Institute website. As with our annual report, the accounts have been considered by the Audit and Risk Committee and our Board of Trustees and are recommended by the Board for adoption. If you have any questions, the accounts or auditor's report, please put them now using the online facility. There being no questions, I propose the adoption of the accounts and would ask those in favour to vote accordingly using the Zoom voting facility. And I'll pause for a moment or so whilst you cast your vote. Thank you very much indeed. And I can confirm that the accounts are unanimously approved for the year to 28th February 2021, so they are adopted. We'll now deal with the appointment of the auditor for 2021 to 22. The Audit and Risk Committee and the Board of Trustees propose the reappointment of Shannon Tate as auditor, and I would ask those in favour to vote accordingly using the Zoom voting facility. Again, I will give you a moment or two to cast your vote. Thank you very much indeed. Everyone casting. Thank you. I can confirm that Shannon Tate was reappointed as auditor for 2021 to 22 unanimously. Thank you very much indeed. I now move to the appointment of Board of Trustees, various aspects. The appointment of the President and Chair, the Vice President and members of the Board of Trustees. Following an open selection process conducted in accordance with the Institute's rules, the Institute's Nominations Committee recommends the following for election and appointment. For the appointment of President and Chair for 2 years, running from now until June 2023, the nomination is Steve Pateman, FCBI, and we will now consider that appointment for Steve Pateman's appointment. And I would ask that you consider the vote shortly. The appointment of Steve has been considered and is unanimously recommended by the Nomination Committee. And I would ask you now to support or oppose the appointment of Steve Pateman as President and vote accordingly using the Zoom voting facility. I'll pause for a moment or so to let you cast your vote. Thank you very much. I confirm the appointment of Steve Pateman as President and Chair of the Chartered Banker Institute for 2021 to 2023. Steve, congratulations. I wonder if you would like to say a few words at this stage.
Thank you, Bill. Board members, fellows and members of the Chartered Banker Institute, thank you for electing me as the 62nd President of the Institute. I'm deeply honoured to be appointed as your President and Chair of the Board of Trustees for the next 2 years. Clearly, the events of the past year, as Bill alluded to earlier, have been tumultuous right across the world. For some, the level of sadness and loss has been unimaginable. I echo Bill's words when I agree that we all have a clear understanding of the essence of the responsibility we hold in our communities. So I would like the team at the Institute to focus on three things over the course of the next couple of years. First, now is quite rightly the time for our Institute to continue helping the banking sector play its part in supporting the economic and social recovery, the changes that will flow from COVID-19, and the need for greater financial inclusion. Second, at a time when the Institute is recognised as the leading global voice for responsible and sustainable banking, the Institute must help the sector achieve the global commitments on reducing the adverse impact of climate change. The transition to net zero should not be underestimated, and we must continue to be at the forefront of helping banks and bankers meet that challenge, as well as making a contribution to social prosperity and other elements of the UN principles for responsible banking. And third, we must continue to build a broader and international presence for the Institute. We're extremely proud of the fact that we have members in over 100 different countries around the world, but we want all those members to become advocates for our work, helping us to enhance and strengthen our global profession. Looking forward, there are many areas where our voice should be heard. We live in a global community, and it's absolutely right that we look outwards and face into the challenges that arise from COVID-19, as well as climate change, and the roles that bankers can play in meeting these unprecedented challenges to our industry, but also to the world in which we and our families live. As we celebrate our 146th year, I believe that we are uniquely placed to build on our many achievements, some of which Bill outlined in his remarks and which are set out in our annual report. I would also like to acknowledge the incredible commitment from the Institute team over the last 18 months of unprecedented challenge. The successful outcome relative to many other professional bodies and the tremendous leadership from Simon and his executive colleagues. We're really lucky to have such a team at the Institute. As your president, I'm proud to have been a member of our Institute for over 14 years. I'm grateful to the Institute for the knowledge and support it has given me through my career. In the past 6 years, particularly, I've learned a great deal from fellow council members and trustees who have willingly given of their time and skills. I look forward to working with the board and membership forum to continue the delivery of the Institute's strategic purpose. As we start to emerge from lockdowns across the globe, I look forward to meeting, not just virtually, and serving as many of you as I can in the next 2 years. And I hope you will play your part in building up your Institute, our Institute. That is all in the future, but today we should not forget to celebrate the success of the Institute in the UK and internationally that has been made in the past 2 years. And I'd like to take this opportunity to pay tribute on behalf of all fellows and members of the Institute to Bill. I've known Bill as a colleague on first the council and then the board of trustees for 6 years. Bill has consistently been a force for good through his Institute involvement, and our Institute has benefited greatly from his above and beyond the call efforts. What makes Bill's commitment to the Institute even more remarkable is that Bill is not a banker by career. He has built and led a very successful private equity business, which I think has really helped us as an Institute broaden our horizons and perspective, demonstrating that banking is part of a broader community and a broader economy. And we have an obligation to serve that economy and that community, but with appropriate regard for our impact on society, the environment, and our stakeholders. Over the past year in particular, Bill has hosted numerous Institute webinars, and I'm sure I can vouch for everyone watching this that we have all really enjoyed your eloquent hosting and your engaging presenting style. Throughout, Bill has displayed his prestigious journalistic skills and talents, and we certainly feel that now your time as president is behind you, that a new career in maybe chat show hosting awaits you. I would like to thank Bill on behalf of the Institute's board, the leadership team, and all the staff for his support and wise counsel throughout these challenging times. We should also be very proud that the Institute has managed to successfully transition itself towards a digital institute throughout this global pandemic. And this will be a legacy of Bill's presidency, as will be the success of the membership forum, which has been excellently chaired by David May, with the admirable support of his vice chair, Helen Mackay. It is a true reflection of the voice of the 30+ members we collectively are in the UK and abroad. And this forum continues to provide a pulse beat for our members. And at this point, I'd like to pay tribute to David May, who recently stepped down as the founding chair of the membership forum. Thank you for all your efforts, David, and I know the forum will continue to be expertly led moving forward under Helen's leadership. To those of you watching today who are involved with the Institute, thank you also for your service and the very best of fortune in your endeavours. I do hope, as I said before, that I have the opportunity over the next 2 years to meet with as many members as possible, to hear your views and perspectives on our industry and what we as an institute should be doing to help prepare you and your businesses for the challenges and opportunities ahead, so that I am able to hand over to my successor an institute that is in as good a shape as the one that Bill leaves behind. Bill, it's been a pleasure to serve your presidency. Thank you for all you've done for our institute, and thank you for setting such high standards for us all to follow. You have very much fulfilled your objective of serving to lead. Thank you.
Steve, thank you very much indeed for those kind words at this point, and congratulations on your election to be president of this old institute of ours. If I may just chair the remainder of the agenda, I would now like to move to the appointments of your vice president and vice chair for 2021 to 23. We will now consider that appointment of a vice president for the next 2 years. The appointment of David May, FCBI, has been considered and is unanimously recommended by the nominations committee. We are at this stage only appointing one vice president, as we hope to be able to make a further significant appointment this time next year. So I would now ask those who support or oppose the appointment of David May, FCBI, as Vice President to vote accordingly using the Zoom facility. And I will give you time to vote now. Thank you very much indeed, everyone, for voting on the appointment of the Vice President. I confirm that David May is appointed as Vice President for the period from now to June 2023. And David, very many congratulations on that. And I echo the comments that Steve made of your exemplary chairmanship of the membership forum. And we wish Helen all the very best as she takes over that role from you. We now move to consider the appointment of members of the Board of Trustees that have been considered and are unanimously recommended by the Nominations Committee. We have 3 outstanding candidates nominated. Paul Denton, FCBI, for the period from now to June 2024. We have Elisa Moskelin, an independent trustee who would be appointed for the same period of time, and also Catherine Graham, an independent trustee who would be appointed for that period also. I'm now going to ask each of the appointees to say a few words to introduce themselves and to give us an idea and flavour of who they are and what they would like to help the Institute with. Paul, if I can turn to you first of all, as a fellow of our Chartered Banker Institute, over to you to say a few words.
Thank you, Bill. And I would echo Steve's comments. A big thank you to yourself for the commitment and dedication over the years. Paul Denton, I have been with the Institute, or a member of the Institute, for 33 years, joining when I joined RBS in 1988, and I've proudly followed the route that the Professional Institute offered me through my qualifications initially, going on to become a chartered banker, entering through Young Banker of the Year competitions. I didn't win, but I thoroughly enjoyed the process, and ultimately having the honour of receiving a fellowship in 2002. So I really have been proud and enjoyed my own membership of the Institute over the years, and feel very much a commitment to be able to offer something back, particularly to younger professionals coming through financial services with all of the changes that we've seen over recent years. Very quick career background: 25 years with RBS and NatWest, then on to Co-op Bank, and currently I'm the Chief Executive with the Scottish Building Society. What I'd like to bring, as well as the support for the young professionals now coming through their career, both here in the UK and globally, as the Institute is these days, is a level of experience from both past and indeed from present, still working within the industry. Very much looking forward, echoing some of the points that have been made by both yourself and Steve, to the future challenges, be it climate, digital disruption, operational resilience, etc. But also being able to offer the experience of working across a number of different sized organisations within our industry, from a small mutual through to a larger PLC. So, Bill, it's a great honour, and I really am looking forward to the opportunity.
Thank you, Paul. Elisa, I now turn to you, if you would like to give us a flavour of what the world is like for you.
Thank you. I'm Elisa. I am a sustainability professional. I spent the past decade designing and executing sustainability strategies for global blue chip organizations, mostly in the ICT and financial services sector. I've been leading projects in Europe, Asia, Middle East, Africa, and currently I'm based in the UK, and I am responsible for sustainability and ESG at Santander. I joined the bank about 5 years ago to lead a transformation towards responsible banking. And prior to that, I worked for Vodafone in different geographies and spent some 3 years in Kenya working with Safaricom, which is home of M-Pesa, the mobile money platform. And I think that's a great example of how financial institutions can really be a force for good, because M-Pesa really supported the financial inclusion agenda in the country. I'm an alumni of Cambridge University of Sustainability Leadership, and I would say that sustainability for me is more than a job, is a passion. So I'm really looking forward to work with the Institute to promote responsible banking. And I think that the Institute mission really aligned with my professional and I would say almost also personal ambition of shifting the business community to a more sustainable future.
Elisa, thank you very much for that view. Catherine, welcome to the forum. I now pass to you to give us an introductory view of the world.
Thank you, Bill. Such impressive careers and synopsis from my colleagues there. My name is Catherine Graham. I, for a long time, was a people professional within NatWest Group. I grew up in banking in the HR function and managed people change. I was a program director. A couple of years ago, I felt that I wanted to make the move into becoming a technologist. I could see that in the banking industry, there are some very exciting things happening in that space. So I moved into technology, into security. And I'm now blessed in that I'm spending much of my time playing with artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, and just a plethora of other very exciting enhancements as we evolve the way that we do things in some areas of banking. Outside of my day job, I am passionate about learning and about opening opportunities to others who want to learn. So I sit on the board of Forth Valley College, which is a Scottish further and higher education institute. And I spend much of my time thinking about how we can encourage people, particularly into STEM industries. I support a couple of Scottish charities in terms of being involved as a trustee or a board member, and I found that a massively rewarding process. In terms of my involvement with the Institute, I've been involved in professional bodies before, and for me, it's about creating a real sense of community. I look forward to working with my colleagues and counterparts across the board to be able to further the agenda of the Institute and of you as our members. I'm very grateful that you have included me here today.
Catherine, thank you. So to Paul, Elisa, and Catherine, thanks for those. I now ask those who support the appointment of the members of the Board of Trustees, that's Paul Denton, Elisa Moskalen and Catherine Graham, to vote accordingly using Zoom voting facility. And I'll give you a moment or two to make those selections. Thank you all very much indeed. I confirm that Paul Denton, Elisa Moskalen and Catherine Graham are duly appointed as members of the Board of Trustees for the term from today until June 2024. And congratulations to all three of you, and I wish you well. We now move to the extension to trustee terms of office, which have been considered and are unanimously recommended by the nomination committee. This is to assist phasing and making sure that our trustee board has the right tenures of people with experience and new people arriving at different points in time so that we don't have significant wholesale change. The nominations are Sheila Gunn, a current independent trustee, and she would be appointed until June 2022, and also the nomination for the reappointments of Ian Hardcastle, FCBI, until June 2023. So I now ask that those who support or oppose the extensions to trustee terms of office to vote accordingly using the Zoom voting facility. Please go ahead and do that now, and I'll give you a moment to fulfill that. Thank you very much indeed. I confirm that Sheila Gunn's term of office has been extended until June next year, and Ian Hardcastle FCBI until June 2023. So Sheila, Ian, thank you for your continued service to the Institute. It is hugely appreciated by all of us. There is no further business for the AGM brought to us by the Board of Trustees or the Institute's committees, and no additional items for discussion have been intimated by members in advance of our meeting. So thank you all, because that concludes the formal business of the 146th Annual General Meeting of the Chartered Banker.
Just leaves me to once again thank Bill for his time as president, and to thank all of the members who've joined us virtually this evening for your time. Congratulations to all those who have been successfully nominated. I look forward to working with every member of the Institute over the course of the next 2 years. And as Bill said at the outset, I very much hope that this time next year we are able to do this event in person as we would have done it in the past. I wish you all a good evening. And if you're watching this on catch up, a good afternoon or a good morning. And I look forward to speaking to you again.